Moving to Nashville, Tennessee means you've got options. You can either live way out in the rolling countryside where you're pretty far from anything, if that's your vibe, or if you want to get close into the downtown area and have the condos and walking neighborhoods of single family homes that are older historic neighborhoods, you've got the options of all of those things here in the Middle Tennessee area. One area I haven't shown you in quite a while is inside the 440 Beltway. Now, Interstate 440 takes you from the west side all the way around to the east side, and back around the other side. If you don't want to go all the way into downtown to get from Interstate 40 over to 24 or over to Interstate 65, you can take the loop. I've been in this business long enough to remember when 440 didn't even exist, and a lot of neighborhoods were torn up, essentially, to have 440 come through. Now, 30 years later, it's a highly desirable area, but there's a lot of flux, and this probably happens in every town as you've got growth. I'm standing on the east side now of inside the 440 loop, the east side of 21st Avenue, Hillsborough Road, 21st Avenue, which merges into Broadway, which takes you all the way to the river. We'll also go over to the west side, which is the Harding Road area that merges into West End, becomes Broadway, 21st and Broadway meet, and take you to the river. So we're over on the east side. This is more the way, the over by the Vanderbilt, Belmont area. These are what are some of the areas that are considered. Now, don't worry about it. If you're looking at a map, you're not going to see anything that says Belmont, the city of Belmont, or Waverly, or any of those, but that's where we are. And what you're going to find here is older homes that were built 30s, 40s in residential neighborhoods, that's nice wide streets, sidewalks, varying degrees of updates and renovations. What you're also going to find is many of them were built as four squares. Through time in the 50s, 60s, 70s, when people were moving further out of town, many of those have been cut up into smaller apartments, maybe 2 to 4 apartments on it with an outdoor fire escape. Bring us back into the 90s, up to now, people are starting to move back into town. Let me know, is this exactly how the migration worked with you and your family or in your city? That's what's happened here. People are moving back into town. So what you're going to see is a lot of Dempsey dumpsters where the people have been tearing things out, putting them back into single family homes. Most of them now are single family, but if you happen to own one of these houses as rental property, you're making a pretty penny because it's a very desirable area. You can walk to Vanderbilt if you're a doctor, a resident, nursing school, all kinds of things. It's a very highly desirable area. Let's take a stroll. What you're going to find in these older neighborhoods is the typically much wider streets. You're going to find sidewalks. Here, now when you get into the 70s, 80s built homes, you're not going to find sidewalks, so it just depends on what you want. You're going to find mostly brick homes or a combination of brick and stone. That is definitely what we have in the older neighborhoods of Nashville and throughout Nashville until we got into the 80s. You will find often the porte-cochere. Very seldom do you find a garage, certainly not original, but it may be a detached garage. You're also going to find, let me point out, that's one of my favorite houses. I love that rock house. You're going to possibly find that basement that so many coming from other areas want. Typically, our basements were only built 20s, maybe to 40s, simply as the topography edicts, but they were dugout basements 20s to 40s because I guess just really fallout shelters in case of nuclear bombs. We don't have many basements now, and it is, again, because of the topography. It's expensive, and people want daylight basements. They don't want the dugout basement situation. You'll mostly find, as I say, the bungalow or different style homes, not so many of the Foursquare in this area. Again, we are at the Magnolia area, not very far from Music Row section of the east side at 440. I've moved over a little bit west to the Belmont neighborhood. This is a really wonderful residential historic neighborhood. that people who live here love for its location and the beautiful homes. You will not find two homes the same because they are, for the most part, historic, and there's a historic overlay in some of this. This is a great place to live if you want to be close to the restaurants, shops, boutiques. You've got some neighborhood parks. All of these areas have a lot of the very same amenities inside the 440 loop, which is why people like to be here so much. You're going to find homes priced not inexpensively, anywhere from mid-600 up to several $1 million. If you happen to be lucky enough and really handy, like to do your own work, then you may be able to find a home, still it's going to be close to $600,000, that you can renovate and put your own touches to. However, you've got to be careful. In historic overlay districts, there are a lot of restrictions. The last house I renovated was here, and you cannot change the very front of the home's appearance in any way, shape, or form from the street unless you can prove that it at one point had been the way you want it to be. What I'm saying is it can be complicated, so leave that to the pros if that's not your forte. So at this point, I have moved on to what is now 21st Avenue. Remember, Hillsborough Road becomes 21st Avenue around the Vanderbilt area. That's where we are. And then it will merge into Broadway. We're in the Hillsborough Village. Tons of shopping, restaurants, boutiques. This is kind of a busy spot. You may well have heard of the Pancake Pantry, world famous. It's on the other side of the street. Sorry. Not good driving ability here, but it is a very heavy-duty, well-trafficked, well-loved area of Nashville. Walking distance to Vanderbilt, walking distance to the hospitals. It has recently done a lot of transformation with condominiums, updates to the older restaurants, and trying to keep an eye to the homage of some of the old that is in the area. We have now turned and are going west on West End. West End becomes Broadway eventually had I gone back toward town. So I hope this is keeping you oriented a bit. West End is full of office buildings. This was the next area when people moved away from the center of downtown. They moved office buildings more to the Midtown area. This is West End. The Parthenon and Parthenon Centennial Park will be up on your far right, about a mile down the street. You see the Cathedral of the Incarnation Catholic Church, about 200 years old. Right here on this whole left-hand side that you cannot see is the Vanderbilt campus. So we're now over on the west side of the 440 loop. It goes Harding to West End. West End merges to Broadway. Broadway merges on 20 to 21st on that east side and merges into Broadway, which takes you all the way downtown. Here on the west side, we've got the Parthenon right over here behind me. It is still mostly condominiums, not really very many single-family homes. Most of the single-family homes that would have been here in the day have been converted to commercial, maybe restaurants, doctor's offices, that type of thing. So if you want to live inside this 440 loop over to the Charlotte area, then you're pretty much going to need to be in a condominium. They're 1-, 2-bedroom condos, luxury condos. You got the gamut. You got a lot of options. Now, I probably shouldn't admit this, but we are currently in my top 2 favorite places of the entire city to live, and this is the Richland Central area. It runs north of West End. So, so close to jumping right onto 440 to get anywhere you want to get to. Easy access into Green Hills shopping. You've got the Belmead shopping. My favorite place to walk, which is Percy Warner Park. It's got everything. This is an area that was developed in the 20s to 40s. Older neighborhoods, very wide streets. Many of them are boulevard type streets, sidewalks, mature trees, every different style and type of home, varying degrees of updates. Have you ever seen a Sears and Roebuck kit house? This is one of them, still here on Central Avenue, built in the 40s. Did you know you could build a house that way? There are quite a few here in the Nashville area. This is one street over closer to West End, and it is Richland. It is a boulevard, trees in the middle, sidewalks everywhere. Every single one of these homes is new. When I lived in the neighborhood back in the early 80s, none of these houses were here. When we get to the very end, you will see one of the few remaining homes on this street. But it's such a desirable area. Your pricing is not gonna be below $1 million on this street, and you're gonna go up to several million. It's location, it's style, it's quality, it's convenience. It's got it all for some people. Hey, I want to remind you, if you're enjoying these videos or you have a place that you would like me to explore a little bit with you and to show you, then please go ahead and put that here in the comments. Otherwise, just keep watching. And when it's time for you to want more information one-on-one for you and your move, then reach out to me. Susan Thetford with Parks Properties.